Oh yes, it is still thinking. Hello everyone, this is something that I've never ever done before. Mostly because I didn't know how well it would work. That is a gameplay video, unscripted, with me, all by my lonesome. But it is a very special occasion, a very special day. It is 9/9/2014. Has a certain ring to it, doesn't it? That is the 15-year anniversary of the launch of the Sega Dreamcast, and so I thought I would play one of the most Dreamcast-y games to ever Dreamcast. Phantasy Star Online. Well, version 2. Now you might be wondering, why not Sonic Adventure? I'm doing this big Sonic retrospective. Cyberman, huh. I have no recollection of Cyberman. I did check the memory card to make sure this was the correct memory card that had PSO data on it, but I have no recollection of Cyberman. But the data was created in 2012, in the summer of 2012, and that was specifically during the time I was getting into Doctor Who. So it looks like I got on here, I made a Cyberman character, named it Cyberman, and quickly lost interest. And why wouldn't I lose interest? This is, after all, Phantasy Star Online. However, the online component went offline, God, I want to say over 10 years ago now. There are still private servers where it can be played. Shut up! The story was just tremendously unimportant. And if you don't know what Phantasy Star Online is, oh god. Well, I was going to try to describe it, but I really don't know how to. Anyway, here we have our level 1 hunter character. I can't remember. It seems like this might be what's called a Who-cast. I never knew how to pronounce anything either. Really, this is a game that I dumped many hours into. And, anyway, the reason I decided not to play Sonic Adventure are... Basically, I still play Sonic Adventure quite a lot from time to time. And I guess I just wanted to play something different. Oh, and look at that, we've already got a frame. A green frame, which means it's better, although I don't know. I never figured out quite how. That was always one of the great things about this game, is how incredibly simple it was. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is up to your personal taste, but I never liked super complicated RPGs. And this is nothing like your sort of modern Momorpaga. Not that I play those very often, but there's... Seeing as this came out, I want to say about 4 years before World of Warcraft ever did. There's not that kind of influence on this. There's none of that stuff about picking a target and then just automatically attacking. Every attack, like every swing, every hit, you understand what I'm saying, comes down to a button input. But where it was so simple, I mean, it was sort of like an online 3D chat room that happened to have a video game component, if that makes sense. Like, to a certain point, there wasn't really a whole lot of challenge involved in it, I guess is what I'm saying. Then again, I don't know if there's really challenge in most Momorpagas. I don't play a whole lot of RPGs in general, and especially I've never ever gotten into a massively multiplayer online RPG, with the exception of this one. But I guess I should have said this earlier, the one reason that I'm deciding to post this is because I'm seeing if anybody would be interested. It is about 2 in the morning on Eastern Time, right as I'm recording this right now. But I'm thinking I might do a Dreamcast stream in celebration of the 15th anniversary later today. And I'd like to see if anybody would be interested. Okay, that's good. We just got a barrier. Just hit level 2. I do not know if I'm going to be able to beat the boss here. Of course, one of the big problems with this game being Phantasy Star Online is that with the servers having gone off so very many years ago, The online component is is long gone. And the game really isn't that interesting in an offline environment. Because basically all you've got to do is run through these 4 stages. So yeah, there's forest, caves, mines, and ruins. And then of course I guess there's also single-player quests, but really, PSO without the online part of it just isn't very interesting, especially here. When they updated the game for the GameCube, they added a 2-player split-screen option. Although, of course, with the GameCube version, it was much more difficult to get to string together a keyboard, basically. I actually had a GameCube to PS/2 adapter that allowed me to plug a keyboard in. I was very much all about PSO back in the day. And I still play on a private Blueburst server from time to time. Not very frequently at all, maybe like a couple of times a year. I'll pick it up and me and Kalen, or sometimes even Lennon, if you know who that is. He was on the Geek Critique once. So yeah, I guess that's basically it as far as, would you guys like to see a Dreamcast stream later today? Unfortunately, that information is only valid if you are watching this on the night it was released. So that's kind of funny. Other than that, I guess you could share your memories of the Dreamcast, your memories of PSO. Any games you'd like to suggest me try on the stream. I have quite a few Dreamcast games. I have basically most of the big ones. But the other really important thing about doing this is I have figured out how to connect my Dreamcast. Oh, good, a handgun. I figured out how to connect my Dreamcast to my capture device, which will definitely prove useful whenever I get on to the adventure era of the Sonic retrospective. But yeah, good God, do I ever love the Dreamcast. Like, I probably have more affection for this system than any other. Just because it is such a bittersweet tale that almost perfectly coincided with the end of my childhood, actually, which only makes it all the more dramatic for me personally. Because I turned 13 in 2001. But yeah, like I said, this is a very simplistic game. There's plenty of games. I guess one more reason I decided to play PSO was because I knew that because it is so simple and because I have played it so much, it would be pretty easy to talk and do relatively well, to like play it relatively well at the same time. I haven't gotten a whole lot of practice in on doing things like that. And also just to update TGC Classic with something, because I know right now all that's on there is are the hacking contest videos. But yeah, I guess it was about an hour ago. I looked at the time. I was like, oh, 9/9/2014. And I always make it a point to try to play the Dreamcast on its birthday. And PSO was kind of the end of the Dreamcast. For me, actually. I got the game just before my 14th birthday in 2002. And, you know, by then the Xbox, the PS2, the GameCube were all released. I already had a Dreamcast keyboard. By the way, that's another very like proof of just how old this game is. There was no voice chat whatsoever. Most people on this Dreamcast version had keyboards. The Dreamcast keyboard was pretty ubiquitous. If you didn't have that, then you could type using this crap. Okay, I've gotten bored. I never did that much. Do you have to go to enter to say something. Ah! You will be upgraded. And then you could also... This was kind of neat. This was kind of neat. You could go... You could, like, string sentences together like with this menu, and regardless of, like, what language somebody spoke, it would be displayed in the language they had their country set, like, that they came from, basically. So let's see. There are some pretty funny things you could say here. I am a student. I am an adult. I am looked older. Yeah. There you go. I am lewd? I don't consider myself that lewd. And then, of course, you could get different weapons. I've been using the totally not a Star Wars lightsaber ripoff this whole time. Of course, as I'm such a low-level character here, all you're going to see are the very basic weapons. Generally, though, they didn't vary all that much. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were tons and tons of weapons. But only a couple of, like, specific types. In terms of animations. I might not remember his name, but I know that this character class can use... Basically, he never ever gets any magic, but he can use any sort of weapon. That's sort of his gimmick. And then, of course, there were also dedicated magic users, characters that were more well-rounded. At least I think that's his gimmick. Am I wrong? Yeah, he doesn't have any, Oh gosh, what were those things called? Grants, Megid... The magic... the different types of magic. You learned them on discs. Nope, it's not coming to me. But yeah, he has... You can see up in the corner of the screen, he has 52 hit points, but no technique points whatsoever. And that's because he never gets any. But I never got too far with a character like this. Most of my characters were just the standard Umar class, which were just human hunters that were fairly well balanced across the board. Leveling up completely refills your stats, and that that tended to save you a surprising amount of the time. Like I said earlier, I am going to get to the boss of the forest area, which is a big fire-breathing dragon, but I may well not be powerful enough to defeat him. But we will give it a shot. And let's see. Also, the forest area changes somewhat randomly. I never knew what was up with that either. Like I said, this was a game I played a lot of, but didn't really understand the mechanics of a lot of the time. Like, I know sometimes there's a teleporter to the boss room, or that gets you closer to the boss room right there. And then sometimes you get this area. And I'm going to be fighting Giga Booma here soon. Which is a gigantic version of these enemies, of these smaller enemies that I keep fighting. The AI in this game is pretty exploitable. And when we get to, if I get to a Giga Booma, I'll show you what I mean. And might as well use that. You can only hold 10, a maximum of 10 of each item. You can customize the skill palette down there. Oh, one more thing about talking. You could also create these are all the defaults. But you could create sort of hyped up versions of emoticons. But yeah, this game actually, the original version of PSO came out, I want to say, in September of 2000. The PSO version 2 that I'm playing here came out about a year later. Version 2, let's see, what did it do? I feel like I should be able to get through there. Did I miss something? I know version 2 added a lot of new weapon types. But however, it did not add any new levels, any new class of character classes. It added new missions, that's for sure. Definitely added lots of new missions. I was on version 1 for about 10 days, I want to say. And then the community basically convinced me, like, no, really, you need to get version 2. And I was like, alright. This takes me back to Forest 1. I must have come back to the start. I see a door. That's where I need to go. Okay. Like I said, the randomness of the forest layout always tended to get me turned around a little bit. But, yeah, this game is not very interesting without other people. You could get together in guilds and groups of 4. There were lobbies where basically quite a number of people could show up, but in actual games like this one, only a maximum of 4 could show up at a time. Oh, I guess this maybe this isn't the one that can use anything. This is the Hunter Ranger combination, and I cannot access these yet. Basically, once you get through the first 3 levels, you have to then run through everything again and activate those big spires, and that's what unlocks the final level, the ruins. And so you may be wondering, what do you do once you beat all 4 levels? Well, there are 4... Oh, that's another thing version 2 did. It added the ultimate difficulty, I remember. But there were 4 difficulties. You can't get... This is normal mode. Hard mode unlocks at level 20. So on and so forth. Oh, version 2 also raised the level cap very significantly, I think. Like, I think the old level cap was level 100, the version 2 is level 200? Yeah, I guess version 2 did add quite a bit. It also had a player versus player battle mode that was not very good. Not very good at all. But, I guess you have to remember, this was the first, sort of online game that I ever really played. I played Choo Choo Rocket when that came out, but there wasn't... Choo Choo Rocket didn't have this level of interactivity and depth, believe it or not. Believe it or not, this game does have an impressive amount of depth for an online console game in the year 2000. Considering it was, after all, the first of its kind. Let's see, is that barrier better than my current barrier? No, it is the exact same. I think. I don't know. I can't read numbers. If I could read numbers, I'd be playing a more complicated RPG than this. There's a Saber +1. So we'll go ahead and start using that. You might notice that I'm picking up absolutely everything I get my hands on, even if I can't use it, or if it, like, literally is a force weapon that I'll never be able to use. And that's because I guess this is probably like this in most online games. You know, you can pick things up and sell them at the market later, whether you can use them or not. And when I say market, I don't mean like a player-run market. I mean there's just stores. But it might sound like I'm talking this game down, like, oh, it's not complicated, there's not much to it. And indeed, offline there isn't, but I would not have played it so much if it wasn't genuinely really, really, really fun back in the day. And I do believe you can actually still get a Dreamcast online and connected to player-run private servers. Although I would not be able to do that because I have no way to connect to a dial-up line. And the Dreamcast broadband adapter is infamously, incredibly, ridiculously expensive. Although I have always kind of wanted to get one. I think part of that is nostalgia for me, because there was a time there when the Dreamcast was the only way I had of getting on the internet in in a private manner. We always had computers, of course, but you know, the computer was in the living room. I couldn't, like, get online while people were asleep or whatever. But with the Dreamcast, it didn't support, like... Really, if I could do it, then I would probably make a video just showing it off. But, and trying to access, like, modern-day websites and crap like that. But like, really, for a browser in 1999, it was pretty feature-heavy. It did pretty much everything that you can think that was standard on the web. There's my Gigabooma. Ooh, okay. So here's how I'd often beat these guys at lower levels. See, enemies, when you go outside the door, they will just walk away. They will just return to their default positions. So if you're weak like this, it's pretty easy and pretty possible, and I'm going to say that and then I'm going to get myself killed. Now see, he does a lot of damage like that. And this handgun is barely doing any damage whatsoever. So just wait for him to turn his back to you. Oh, now I can't even target him. There we go. That was another fun quirk about this game, is that unless you were targeting something, you probably weren't going to hit it. Of course, the game was eventually very much overrun with hackers and cheaters, and it was incredibly easy to duplicate items, and that just... like, that was fun for a little while, and then it made the entire game just pointless and boring. Because there was no... You already had the best items. You already had all the techs. That's what they were called, techs. That's what magic was. More... Gigabooma. As opposed to Gigabooma. But yeah, if only the servers were still up and I could actually get my Dreamcast online, I would invite everyone to come play PSO today. What am I trying to do here? I am trying to create a question, create a conversation. Oh, I remember what I used to do. Hobbies. I take pleasure in... Look at all these things you can collect take pleasure in. I take pleasure in beating a drum. Excellent, and now everyone knows. Really, I seem to be a little bit stronger than I thought here, and I have plenty of mono mates, so I think I'm just gonna keep wailing on this guy like this. You can see the way that attacks would land was extremely open. It's extremely predictable and extremely simple and extremely open to being exploited like that. Now we're getting close to the end. But yeah, so what do you do once you've completed everything? Well, then you play Towards the Future, which was the most popular online quest by far. I played that hundreds, probably literally hundreds of times. And I was one of the small timers in comparison. There were people who played it thousands of times, I'm sure. Towards the Future was a quest where basically you would start. It was sort of a boss rush. You would start out like right here in the forest, and this is very, very close to the boss room. You'd kill a few enemies, and then you would fight the boss, and then you'd go to the caves, very close to the boss room, kill a few enemies, fight the boss. And what was really good about it, and the reason that people did it so much, the bosses give you lots and lots and lots of experience points. So Towards the Future was a very, very good way to grind levels very quickly. Speaking of, there we go with level 4. The community in this game, for the most part, was very, very, very nice. I remember. Like I said, it was an online chat room. I made, like, legitimate internet friends on here. And we would just stand around in the lobbies, kicking a ball back and forth, which was something you could do in the lobbies. And just talking on the keyboard. But what made me specifically think of that is every time you would level up, everybody on your party would always, like, go congrats or grats or something like that. Like, and this version in particular, like I said, everybody on the Dreamcast seemed to have keyboards and seemed to be... I don't know where I was going with that. I realized I just stopped talking. But shut up, it's late. And I decided to do this on a whim. Alright, I think I've killed all the enemies. Was I lucky enough to pick up a telepipe? Yes, I was. You drop a telepipe, and that way, if you lose to the boss, you can come right back. And telepipes are basically transports back to the back to Pioneer 2, which is where all the shops and the heal-up place and your item bank and all that good stuff is. And I don't know why I'm continuing to explain things, because I really don't know if anybody who's not familiar with PSO is still watching at this point. But here's where you'd come in and you would sell off all the things you don't need, like this class is never going to need monofluids, I can't use discs, I can't use force weapons, have a better handgun, I'll keep the telepipe. Oh, I can use the dagger now, I guess I'll hang on to that. This barrier's not as good, that's a disc. Got 3 daggers that all look the same. That's good. Okay. And there's a cap on how many items you can hold, so it was useful. You'd always see people like taking sabbaticals out of running through the levels just to come back here and sell off their items. And then of course you could also buy things, although the prices tended to be pretty ridiculous. It was generally better to just find the items in the levels themselves. And let's go see if we can slay a dragon. I very much doubt it, by the way, and if I win, then that's the end of the video, and if I die, then that's the end of the video. So, the pressure's on. I don't know why I'm dropping a telepipe, even though I just said that, since I'm not planning on coming back anyway. But force of habit! Here we go, let's fight a dragon. Why do you even need to ask me this in offline mode? Yes, let's go. This thing blew my mind the first time I saw it. And then just how much fun it was to rush forward with 4 other people who weren't even in the same room with you. I always felt like there was a spirit of camaraderie, especially on the Dreamcast version. Because, you know, by the time I was playing it, the Dreamcast was almost to the point of dying. I believe the last Dreamcast game in North America had already come out by that point. Yet here we all were. Yeah, see, that was always the problem with the dragon. It would fall over and knock you over too. But it falls over, you whack it in the head a bunch. And then it gets up and goes where you can't hit it anymore. Or it doesn't! Wow! I did not know how strong this class was. I cannot usually knock it down. Normally it flies up in the air. But I just might be able to pull this off after all. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get it this time, am I? One of the nicest things PSO version 2 added was the quick menu. Before that, there was actually no way to even switch weapons without going through all this stuff. It's also one of the first games I ever played where the mini-map was such an important tool. Ah! Can I hit him from here? Probably not. Definitely not now. Maybe I'll try out the dagger when he comes back up. Oh, I just realized I am out of monomates. That is not good. That is not good. Okay. This is gonna be a close one, guys. I really should have completely stocked up on monomates when I was back in town. Now somebody's gonna post a comment and be like, I called it! Somebody's gonna say that they were like, why aren't you buying monomates? Because I'm an idiot. Oh, no I'm not! I actually got him. Haha! Well, I feel good about myself. It seems like I usually have more trouble than that. Trying to beat the dragon by myself with a new character. But perhaps that's just the class choice. Anyway, dagger animation, since I said I'd do it. Very nice. A little white thing following me around is what's called a mag, and it enhances your abilities in many various ways that I never really took the time to properly understand or figure out. Ooh, a question mark dagger. You would have to take those to the techer, and he would tell you what they did. It was usually some sort of an element, like ice dagger. Or if you use the special attack of the dagger, it would have a chance of freezing enemies, and things like that. But yeah, this has been Phantasy Star Online version 2 for the now 15-year-old Sega Dreamcast. Which really may be my favorite video game console ever. If not in terms of... I don't know if it has the best library of games ever, but certainly the one that I have the most affection and affinity for. And like I said, may do a Dreamcast stream later today. Let me know what you guys think about that, and thank you for watching.